He made the shots in game 1. He missed them in game 2. What did you see that was the difference?
He took 8 less shots in the game. He took 19 shots in game 1. He took 11 shots in game 2. It's hard for me to recall a superstar in this game that has such extremes. Like, there are times when I watch AD, I'm like, your ceiling is on the level of Jokic or Embiid, maybe better. But your floor is JaVale McGee, and I've never seen a superstar have that range, that gap, that volatility in that gap. I just don't understand that. So for me, I get that last night was a different game, but it's the lack of him being consistently aggressive, which is something that makes me worry about Anthony Davis. Now, I think they're still going to be fine in game 3. It's the overall mindset that you worry about. Who are you going to get each and every night? Because look at game 4, game 5, game 6 of the Memphis series. It's literally like an EKG. Yeah. It's like a heartbeat.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why Anthony Davis played the best basketball of his career in the bubble, because everything stayed the same. It was unusual for that situation to happen, both him staying up here and for that nothing to change. The venue didn't change. He didn't get on a plane, didn't get on anything, and that's why it was so valuable. So we saw it go down. Now we know, game 3, it's going back up. And the thing about it is, does it drive the Lakers crazy? Of course it drives the Lakers crazy. But they need him
badly.
So they must deal with this type of inconsistency. And I really do wonder, I don't want to guess what LeBron's mindset is, but I really do wonder if we got to halftime last night and LeBron took a look at the lay of the land and goes, all right, let's get ready for game 3. Because I feel like he did that in the Memphis series when he fell at times, only played 28 minutes in this game. I don't think the Lakers are in bad position at all. I think they have a mountain to climb because the Warriors are great. I don't think there should be serious concern.
Are we? Yeah, sorry, Mike.
There's no doubt that this is going to be a competitive series throughout. The one thing that I will say as I look at this series, and tell me if you buy what I'm selling here, Jay, if this thing goes 7, that's a problem for the Lakers. Like, if Anthony Davis is going to find his rhythm, it needs to be 2-2 or 1-2. You know, it can't be up and down. I don't think that they have 7 games to get this done, because you go back to Golden State versus the Warriors squad that has been there, done that. Steph Curry shooting the ball, shooting lights out, or even just being signature Steph Curry. Like, you're going to have to find a way to break this pattern that we all acknowledge exists if you're going to get this done, in my mind.
I was surprised that Darvin Ham didn't change up the scheme a little bit, because they were blitzing every ball screen, and you had your best wing defender and paint defender extended trying to blitz Steph Curry, which, in first game 1, they did a lot of coverage over the top. They were chasing over the top and funneling with Vanderbilt, Steph Curry, into those trees down low.
Harder to do it when Steph's on the ball.
Yeah,
that was the adjustment. And I honestly think game 4. Game 4, game 4, game 4.
That's the game.
Whoever wins game 4.
Why 4 and not 3, Wendy?
Because I'm giving the Lakers 3.
Yeah.
Got it.
I'm giving the Lakers 3. If they take, just like the Memphis series, they take a 3-1 lead, they got it. If it goes 2-2 with the Warriors getting home court back, I think they're going to have the advantage. Monday night, to me, is what I got circled. I'm not even going to really worry that much about game 3.
Right. Now, game 3 is tomorrow night on ABC, and we really would appreciate it if you would watch it, no matter what. It's actually an important game. It could matter. The series is tied 1-1. Whoever wins game 3 wins what? What did we say earlier? 79% of the time? So we talk about if AD can stay hot. What if Klay Thompson can stay hot? Is that it? Is it ball game for the Lakers?
I mean, look, the way he was catching and shooting last night, I think one of the most beautiful things about Klay is that he's been able to create so many more shots off the dribble this year, in a contract year, right? So I think him getting going early really set the table, because they were blitzing Steph. Actually, for Klay having the 30-point game, Steph had the best game. He was the best player on the court, because his playmaking ability reminded me of 2015. It's like Andre Iguodala got Finals MVP, but he never gets that because Cleveland couldn't guard Steph Curry straight up with Matthew Dellavedova. They had to trap him, and when he becomes a playmaker, that's all of a sudden when the pace of the game changes, and that's when Golden State's at their best.
Or are we spending too much time on AD's and not enough on Golden State and how they defended him, what they did differently last night?
I mean,
they changed their starting lineup.
Sure, they did change their starting lineup. I thought JaMychal Green played terrific. He was able to knock down threes that it looked like at times the Lakers were daring him to take. I think AD is a large part of this series. He's certainly, in my mind, the player that can swing it. Draymond Green, I mean, he's an all-defensive player for a reason, right? Like, so he has the capability of making a night difficult for anybody that he's guarding. The Warriors shot lights out, and they were very quintessential Warriors basketball. I think the wrinkle is that Steph was the playmaker, so to speak, the truest point guard for him. But they shoot threes. They got a versatile defender in Draymond Green. I'm not really surprised that the Warriors bounced back and hold serve.
AD was trying to throw water on that in his
Yes.
fishing cap. He was saying, like, I got the same shots I got in game one. I just didn't make them.
But we talked with C.J. McCollum earlier about the way the Warriors pushed the pace in this one. You think that's going to be a problem for the Lakers?
I mean, to me, that was my big takeaway from game one, is that they can't play this way the whole
Yeah.
series. And by the way, they didn't. They didn't play that speed. And I think Steve telegraphed what he was going to do. He said, oh, this is how you're going to play? Okay, we're going to play slower and even faster. I mean, smaller and even faster. And it worked in game two. We'll see in game three.
The wrinkle then to me becomes, how do you slow the game down? Like, can you slow the game down if you're the Lakers? And that, I don't know.
Well, Darvin Ham played right into it. I mean, I don't know if you
Yesterday
guys,
he did.
The first quarter, after made baskets, D'Lo was pushing the ball down the court. There were times where you were waiting for Anthony Davis to come into the television screen because the ball was already down the court. So if you want to match that style and tempo, that plays into how Golden State wants you to play.
So, I mean, what do they need to do differently?
All right, get back to what they did game one.
Yeah.
Dominate the paint.
Yeah,
I mean,
but if Steph doesn't come off the ball, how do they fix it?
I mean, for me, I'm going back to drop coverage.
All
Like,
right.
I just think I think that even if it's top of the key, force him one way. So when Steph comes over half court, you can't play him parallel to the half court line. You have to shade him one way. And when you force him one way, you stay on that high side. Because when Vanderbilt tries to flatten out and Steph's able to start dancing with the ball east to west, he has you. If you force him one way, you inevitably have an advantage. And AD needs to make reads.
Look, we charted AD's production in the playoffs.
Yes.
We can do the same thing with Klay. It goes like this with Klay.
Yeah,
Does with
yeah, it
Klay,
does.
that's
So
true.
he was
Right.
up here in game two. It could be down here again. And I'm telling you, the Lakers defense would look completely differently if Klay doesn't go 8 of 11 and instead he goes 4 of 11.
19 like he did, in game one.
We've talked about the Lakers kind of, flopping in game two after a big game one, but a silver lining, maybe the fact that AD played only 33 minutes after playing 44 in game one, LeBron 28 minutes after playing 40 in game one. CJ, you play in this league. Like, I mean, you know about the grind of the schedule. Like, how important is that for the Lakers to manage the minutes of these guys? I know it sounds silly to manage in playoff, but the ability for them to limit those guys last night, can that have a benefit going forward?
I think it definitely benefits them. They understood the sense of urgency they needed to have in terms of getting one of those games, and they basically blew it all out in game one, where AD goes and gets 30 and 20, Brian plays 40 minutes, AD plays 44 minutes. There was a huge sense of urgency to get one of those games, and it's almost like they punted game two once they seen how serious the Warriors were about it. Once they seen that they weren't going to win, they reduced the minutes, they reduced their aggression, and basically said, we're going to go home and try to figure out how to get game three. But I don't think you worry about minutes, because you can rest all summer, you can rehab all summer.
Right.
There you
AD
go.
missed 26 games this year. Bron's missed a ton of games this year. They said he's sleeping 10 to 12 hours a night. He's probably in his hyperbaric chamber. He'll be all right. He'll figure it out. You can get your surgeries in the offseason and do what you got to do. But I think this is a sense of urgency because of the window
Yeah.
for LeBron to win championships and for AD to continue to solidify his greatness, play 40 minutes a night and see what happens.
Says the guy who played through injury in the postseason. He got his surgery in the offseason.
You get your surgeries in the offseason. You figure it out later.
Right. Now, like, I'm not suggesting that they limit their minutes in the postseason, but I guess my question is the fact that their minutes got limited last night, is that a potential silver lining for them in game three?
I mean, yeah, if you're looking for a silver lining, it's a business decision. Same way a guy decides to get out the way when he's about to get rocked at the rim. Like, it's a business decision. By the third quarter, this thing was pretty much in hand for the Warriors. And so now you're monitoring the exertion of energy, goes to the conservation of energy. So yeah, I buy that as a silver lining. And I don't think LeBron or AD, LeBron in particular, were alarmed in the postgame, right? Like LeBron said it, the Warriors were gonna hold serve. Now you go back to LA, you have a chance to protect home court.
Yeah, and Dan, I don't think it's just about the actual number of minutes. It's not just like, oh, LeBron's over 40.
Yeah.
It's the way that they have elected to play. In game one, they elected to absolutely play at a high tempo. And Steve Kerr was like, oh, well, in the fourth quarter of that game, we were actually fresher than them.
Yeah.
And so we're going to dial it up. So we're going to go smaller and faster. And so it's not just how much out there, it's the style of the way they're out there. And so my question is, now that they know that they're going to probably play small, now that they know that Draymond Green is probably going to be the primary defender on AD, do the Lakers now respond by turning the dial backwards and say, okay, now we're going to use our size advantage and we're going to get into the interior and make you guys have to dig and work in there. That's the back and forth and the ebb and flow, and I think that's what we're going to be paying attention to. It's the speed of the game more important than how much minutes they're actually out there.
Is that what you expect them to do?
I expect them to play a lot slower in terms of getting AD quality touches around the elbow, seeing how assertive and aggressive they can be. But the Lakers team historically has played fast and played in transition. The problem is they can't play as fast as the Warriors. And the other problem is that they're not as efficient and effective from three. The Warriors are basically making 21 threes a game, 40%. They're breaking records, and this is something that they can continue to do. This isn't like Klay can go 7 for 9 again.
Yeah.
In fact, he just might. Steph Curry can go 6 for 10 from 3 every night. Like, this is something they can do consistently. So the Lakers have to be aggressive and intentional about getting to the free throw line, slowing the game down, and allowing LeBron and AD to overpower them.
So what does that look like then, CJ? Because we asked Jay in the previous segment about how do you slow a game down, right? And yesterday he pointed out that the Lakers would get the rebound or get the ball and they were pushing. And so in many ways that played into the Warriors' hands. So in terms of slowing it down, is it literally bringing the ball up slower? It's allowing AD to get established, whether it's in the pick and roll or if he's going to go and post up Draymond? Like, how literally are they going to slow this down?
I think you run early. You run on misses and makes early so that you have longer possessions to kind of figure things out. So historically, you want to get the ball across half court quickly and then settle everything down. Settle the table down. Bron's strategic. He's smart. He can find his matchups. You want to make Steph Curry guard because that makes him tired. You want to put him in pick and rolls because that wears him down. And that also allows him to have trouble in terms of foul trouble like last night. Him guarding D'Lo was bad for them because D'Lo draws fouls. So there's things that they can take away from that game and say, oh, okay. Let's put Steph in more pick and rolls. Let's wear him out a little bit. Let's run Klay off screens. Austin Reeves has struggled because he's been chasing Klay around. And it's different. When you're dependent upon on offense and defense, and the guy you're guarding is 6'7", it's hard. So strategically figuring out how to let him get in his bag, how to get more out of their bench because Dennis had a good game, Rui had a good game. Now can they get both of them to have a good game? Because if they do, like you said before, you think the Lakers win game 3? I think the Warriors win game 3, and I think it's flipped. But either way, it's coin flip down the stretch of this series.
For sure.
It's a coin flip.
For sure.
According to Woj, they have fired head coach Mike Budenholzer. Move comes after the top-seeded Bucks were eliminated by the Miami Heat in the first round in just 2 years after they won the championship. Not a lot of time there, Wendy. What does this tell you about the Bucks' future and specifically Giannis?
CJ, you're a businessman. Let's say you own an NBA team. Every ticket is sold. Every suite is sold. You own the real estate around the arena. Tenants are sold. You have an MVP in his prime under contract. Why would you sell?
You didn't do it, Wendy.
Why would you sell?
Yeah, you're supposed to.
Well, while we were up here arguing about who the MVP was going to be or whether the Lakers are going to make the playoffs, one of the most important things in the NBA happened when the owner of the Bucks, Mark Lazary, sold in the middle of this season.
So why did he do it?
Because of the thundercloud that is on the horizon, that we are now hearing the first round.
Are you saying what I think you're
Yes,
saying?
he is.
Why?
Yes, he
Why
is.
yeah. Why would he sell? He sold number one because he got $3.2 billion valuation.
Yes.
He bought for $700, sold for $3.2. That's pretty good.
Pretty good reason.
He also sold because he knew that there was problems coming. And it wasn't because of anything that the Bucks did or any mistake. When a team like this in a mid-market competes for 5 or 6 years, there becomes pressure. Giannis has a contract extension this offseason. Now, he's under contract for 2 more years. But if he doesn't sign that extension, orange light, we got problems. They've got 2 free agents in their 30s, Brooke Lopez, Chris Middleton, with the repeater tax starting for them next year, and a bunch of new rules, which CJ knows better than anybody because the man negotiated the contract. The rules are set up to penalize teams that are high salary teams, hamstringing them, and they have to decide on a coach and whether to pay 2 30-year-olds, whether or not, and Giannis can't decide on his extension until September. It's the chicken and egg theory. The Bucks are in a quagmire, and we have the first move with the firing of Budenholzer yesterday.
If you're saying what I think you're saying,
Which he is.
where's Giannis going?
You're getting too far ahead of yourself because if I were the Bucks, I would exhaust that. But the Bucks have a real challenge in front of them. And if I'm interviewing for coach, like people are already talking about Nick Nurse.
Yeah.
If I sit down, I'm Nick Nurse. My first
Take
question
that
is,
job without knowing he's going to be there.
and you can't take the job whether you know you're going to sign the 2 30-year-olds. And it's hard to sign the 2 30-year-olds if you don't know Giannis is going to extend. The owner's sold.
The owner did what he felt was the best decision for him
He got out of Dodge.
and his pockets, which was, I don't blame him selling that team and making that type of profit. But I think if you look at this roster the way it's constructed, small tweaks can still help them win a championship. Giannis was injured. Giannis got hurt in game 1, 11 minutes, missed all of game 2, all of game 3. So to blame the coach as if it's all his fault is just not fair.
So I guess you better re-sign the 30-year-olds, right?
Chris Middleton would excel, so I'm all in favor of that.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.